Hey, thanks for tuning in. My host is my. I'm your host. My name is Kacey Klaus, and this is the very first episode of Fatherless to Fearless. This is a podcast that goes in tandem with the book of the same name, found on Amazon. And the purpose of the book and this podcast is to reach out to young men and women that grew up without dads and the accompanying issues that came with it growing up and how to overcome those issues. So, how to go from trials to triumph and how to become the hero of your own story. So, the point of this is yes, I'll read some of the chapters that are in the book and uh, expand upon them. I'll also talk about quotes that I've gathered throughout the years, and hopefully in the future we'll start getting some guests of other successful people that grew up without dads and how they did it. So the idea is to be a mentor in your ear or on your drive to work. So we'll begin. Every hero needs a song growing up, and my song was No Son of Mine by Phil Collins. In my loneliest and darkest days, I would listen to the song and it would give me strength. The lyrics aren't exactly my history, but the meaning behind the words hit my soul. Every hero needs a soundtrack. Thank you for listening to this podcast and giving it a chance. You are on your way to overcoming the hole in your heart from the feeling of not being wanted or missing out because you were raised without a father. This book is about taking the negative feelings you've had growing up without a father and taking control of your life so that you can become the person you deserve to be. You are a young man about to graduate high school and you don't know what to do next. You've had this chip on your shoulder for years and you just want to be able to move on with your life. You want to drop this weight that you've been carrying. You want to escape the life you have now because you were meant for more. You're feeling hopeless because you see some in your class being able to go to college or others join the military where you're stuck. You're angry that life has given you a shitty hand and you're looking for a way out. You resent people telling you what to do and how to do it. You don't believe your teachers, they don't understand you, and all you want to do is be successful in spite of not having any guidance. You know that joining a gang or running around with hoodlums is not the answer. You want more for your life. You're looking for a guide, a mentor who has been in your shoes. You just want a hot girlfriend. You want to get laid. You want to matter. You want to have a family. You want to live up to being the patriarch in your family. You want to be successful. You want to be rich. My job is to give you the resources and guide you to the promised land. You've been told to get good grades so you can go to a school, and then someday you'll have that job that'll pay you what you are worth. Maybe then you can finally have the life you've always dreamed of. I call bullshit. I've made the mistake so you don't have to. Do you join the military? Should you go to college? Do you move out of your mom's house? This book is full of stories and lessons learned from a lifetime of trying to overcome the perceived handicap of not having a dad. I've been able to fill that hole in my heart. I've been able to understand that sometimes having a father in your life can be stifling. Not having a father is freedom. The freedom to choose what you want out of life and the freedom to choose your own destiny. Prologue. I was in the second grade when my mom moved us to the other side of town into a good school district. That is where I met my oldest friend, Richard. We were school friends during elementary school and really started to hang out when I was about 12 in middle school. He lived with his mom and grandma, and his parents were divorced. Every few weeks, his dad would pick him up for the weekend to spend time with him and his new wife. I would sit there and watch his dad pick him up, wishing, man, I wish I could go with him. It didn't seem that Richard was too thrilled, though, as I think about it so many years later. I would wave goodbye and ride my bike home, wondering what kind of adventure he was about to have that weekend, jealous that he had a dad to teach him stuff. It wasn't until I had my own kids did I think back and realize, I never saw his dad throw a ball with him. I never saw him work on a car with him or talk to him about girls. He was just a guy that came and visited every few weeks that Richard never seemed to appreciate. Then there's my best friend Nelson, who was the youngest of four kids and had an amazing mom and a very religious father growing up. His father was one of those guys who would study a Bible in several different languages so that he could compare them and determine the truth for himself. He was also a deacon in the church and some kind of inventor of medical devices. I remember driving an early version of the mechanized wheelchair in his living room. I always thought of him as a super nerd who was tinkering all the time. He was also quite old by the time Nelson was growing up, as he had older siblings that were already getting married by the time he was in high school. Nelson was quite sheltered during his early years and never got to experience camping or playing sports. They were fairly poor and money was tight. They were just There's just enough money or interest in helping the youngest out. He earned his first vehicle and would be in the driveway working on the brakes with just a black and white Haynes book with his father nowhere in sight. His older brother died in a car wreck when he was 18 years old and his life forever changed. At a time when he needed guidance and helping him with life choices, he was on his own. Even though he had a dad, he had to make his own mistakes and find his way. Even today, him and his father do not speak. Paul Boy. Paul Boy's dad died when he was 10 years old under suspicious circumstances. He was working construction, assisting a crane operator move a steel beam when the cable snapped and the beam fell, killing him instantly. I knew him and his younger brother in the YMCA summer and winter camps, but didn't become best of friends until years later in middle school. By then, his mom had moved in with a gentleman who would raise them like his own. Mel would become his stepdad, even though his mom and he never got married. Since the boys were older, they didn't form the kind of bond with the man like a dad and a son would, but they were financially stable and their mom had found a companion to grow old with. There was always the ghost of their dead father hanging in the room with them. Paul Boy also had cancer underneath his nose, like in the nasal cavity, when he was a kid, that he was able to conquer. I never got to see him play sports either or watch him do martial arts or anything else a father would get his son into. He just started working at 16 years old and never stopped. He too had to grow up without guidance and make his mistakes as well. Finally, there's Williamson. We all felt that he was the golden boy. He could do no wrong, and his future was bright. His mom was the mom everyone always wanted to have, and his dad was a first sergeant in the Army. Jason had been raised with a little sister moving every couple of years to a new base. He relied on his family a lot because it was hard to make friends. We all met him in high school, but didn't really start to hang out with him until after graduation. This guy had it all. Good looks, good family, nice car, and the ladies falling head over heels for him as he charmed his way into their pants. He charmed all of us, too, as well, believing he had it all worked out. His father helped him secure a sweet position as a nurse in the Army Reserve. His father was also able to help get him a badass truck with great credit when he was 19 years old. And he was able to come home anytime life was getting too rough for him. They were his safety net and foundation. His family was gracious enough to allow me to stay with him for a few months when I was homeless. I remember foolishly telling his father that I don't have a dad to tell me what to do and I don't want one. I just needed a place to stay. His dad was patient with me and he helped me get a vehicle, but took it away once I stopped making any payments as a young dumbass kid. It wasn't until much later in life that I realized that yes, Jason had to step up with an amazing family and a dad in his life. His dad did take him camping and had him playing golf when he was 12 years old on base, but he also had a crutch as he would kowtow to his dad's instructions even as an adult. His dad had his values as a man who served in the Army and grew up in the 70s, but I also feel that Williamson was unable to fully make his own decisions or make his own mistakes. You will meet these characters more later in the book. I only speak about them and their relationship with their fathers because it has bearing in this book. Your cards were dealt without a dad, and most of the time we think of that as a hindrance to growth and the well-being of a child. I fully agree with that notion, but I also want to point out that everyone has their pain in history and challenges growing up. Some grow up with dads who pawn them off or ignore them, while others have dads that are overbearing or that have difficulty showing love to their children. You can feel sorry for yourself and blame your circumstances because you came from a broken home. Or you can count your blessings at the freedom to choose who you want to be and find positive ways to fill that hole in your heart. The choice has always been with you, even with the shitty cards you've been dealt. Part one. So, part one is about flipping your mindset. Every chapter starts off with a quote. Sometimes our mess early on in life becomes our message years later, by Pedro Julian. A lot of adults use the fact that they didn't have a father growing up as an excuse for not living up to their full potential. Excuse me. They use it as a crutch, believing the world owes them something. They are victims to their own mindset and operate on an endless loop of poor me beliefs. The world is nasty and unfair. You were dealt a shitty hand. Decide now what to do about it. Being raised by a single mother and having no father in the home is, I believe, the most important cause of poverty. Think about it. Mom has to work several jobs just to make ends meet. The typical single mother doesn't have the financial resources or emotional support from a husband. Single mothers usually don't have a college degree or connections to get that high-paying job. They don't have the money to start a business. They have mouths to feed. It's easier to just work several menial jobs that barely cover the rent. Where does that leave you? If your mom is burned out and overworked, then how much attention from her can you expect? How much support will you get? They can't make your ball games. They can't help you with your homework or build a tree fort with you. You are on your own. I know you feel cheated. I know you feel abandoned. It's okay, you're not alone. That could be a terrible thing, or it could be liberating. Your choice. Children of single-parent homes are more likely to be abused, both physically and or emotionally. There is no third person to protect you. Life is kicking the crap out of your mom as she takes it out on you. You may have a stepdad, but you are not their blood. They don't have that connection to you. Every time they see you, they are reminded you are not theirs. That's why these kids have major emotional problems or engage in questionable behaviors like dabbling with drugs or having sex too young with too many partners. They have a hole in their souls. They're just trying to fill it with something, anything. They're just trying to escape their miserable lives. They can't stand being poor and the associated judgment from other kids. Their clothes are dirty or smell the smoke from their parents who smoke in the car. Their hair is unkempt or their lunch pail is for show only with nothing inside to fill their bellies at lunchtime. They will struggle academically, often dropping out of school. Problems with children from fatherless families can continue into adulthood. These children are 3 times more likely to end up in jail by the time they reach age 30 and have the highest rates of incarceration in the United States. So, will you be a statistic? You are not alone. 25 million kids are being raised without a dad. How can you be different and not get swallowed up by the feelings of not being good enough or lashing out and doing something stupid with no regard to the consequences that could last the rest of your life? This time in your life will pass. You just have to hang on. You must change your mindset from a victim where life dealt you a shit hand to one of power where you control your destiny. Thank you for picking up this book. Thank you for joining this podcast. I'm hoping to inspire you to change your thinking from being an angry kid with a chip on your shoulder, thinking that no one loves you, or that your best friend who has an amazing dad has everything going for them, to believing in yourself and knowing that you will make it. It's a choice, one that is hard to make when all you see is struggle, and you place the blame on your mom or your absent father. You have the freedom to choose which direction to go in life. No overbearing parent is forcing you to go their way. I'll tell you my story, which was tough, but not unique in any way, and the lessons I've learned along my journey about for forgiveness, owning your power, and finally becoming the hero in your story.